Coming up, a man is accused of trying to meet up with an underage girl, but he had actually talked to a group called Predator Poachers.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. A man is accused of trying to meet what he thought was an 11-year-old girl at a movie theater after talking to her online about an inappropriate relationship. The Pulaski County Sheriff's Department announced charges against 46-year-old Floyd T. Adams of Eubank. The investigation is ongoing, but it would not be possible without an assist from a group based in Texas. WYMT's Zach Hawk spoke with the founder of Predator Poachers about their mission to expose child predators.
Native Texan and 19-year-old Alex Rosen was playing college football when in 2019 he felt a calling to a different passion that would eventually bring him to Somerset, Kentucky.
I always wanted to be in law enforcement for sure, but I started doing this when I was 19. So at least in Houston, you can't be a cop until you're 21, but that's always what I wanted to do.
At first, he says he didn't realize the scope of the problem, but then he created a social media profile of a 15-year-old.
Within a few minutes, there is someone that works at a hospital in Houston wanting to meet who he thinks is a 15-year-old boy for sex. And from there, it just got progressively worse and worse and worse.
That sparked what is a nationwide search for child predators, documented on a YouTube channel. Predator Poachers found a suspect in Somerset who was interested in meeting an 11-year-old.
Immediately at the beginning of the video, he's like, well, I got accused of this when I was 15, touching an 8-year-old. Like, wait, what? Like, nobody ever just blurts that out.
When Rosen was ready to share his findings, caught on video with law enforcement, the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department took the case seriously.
After they told us what had happened, so we conducted our own investigation to determine actually the accusations are a fact of what they are.
The investigation led to an arrest and detention for procuring or promoting the use of a minor less than 12 years of age. Then, a search warrant was served at the suspect's house, and some electronic equipment was turned over to the FBI for further analysis, all possible, in part, to evidence obtained by the Predator Poachers.
Police can use just the chat logs or whatever, and it's all good. Other times, they truly do look at the videos, like, did they confess to this? So they can make an arrest on the spot.
After this operation in Kentucky, the Poachers conducted another one in Tennessee, and 20 arrests have followed the Poachers' action. In Somerset, Zach Hawk, WYMT Mountain News.
On Wednesday, the suspect, Adams, was in Pulaski County District Court for a preliminary hearing. The case was sent to a grand jury. Adams remains in jail. In Clay County, deputies arrested a man accused of stealing from a scrapyard. Deputies found 40-year-old Jason Wagers with wheels, rims, and other metal. Investigators say Wagers was trying to sell the items back to the scrapyard. Wagers is charged with receiving stolen property. State police say a vehicle hit a man on US 119 early this morning. It happened in the Goody community of Pike County. Police say 39-year-old Stephen Hackney was hit by an SUV as he was trying to cross the road. He was taken to a nearby hospital and it was last listed in critical condition. State police have not said if any charges will be filed. The Prestonsburg community said goodbye to a beloved doctor today, vowing to keep his memory alive in the mountains he loved. Dr. Mike Goebel died Thursday at 40 years old after a battle with pancreatic cancer. The doctor, who led the COVID-19 team at Highlands ARH and practiced family medicine at ARH and Prestonsburg Primary Care, is now being remembered as a bright light that was extinguished too soon.
He cared deeply for his patients, this community, this hospital, and especially his family.
His colleagues say he was always pitching in and helping out with a true heart for service, and they want to keep his memory alive for years to come.
Well, some of us got a healthy dose of rainfall as we went through the nighttime hours tonight. Well, some of that now working on out, but some of us got what the radar thinks could be 1 to 2 inches of rain already. London Corbin Airport showing you the wet runway there at the airport, still sitting at 55. Roadway remains on the soggy side. I-75 at Mount Vernon. Traffic, though, moving okay. Highs today, they were warm around the area, mid-60s before that front actually pushed on through. Look at Somerset getting up to 70. Now, a bit cooler into the mid-50s. In fact, if you're not at 53 or 54 or 55, you must live in Moorhead or Wise. They're at 52 and 50. Respectively. There's the last of those showers pushing on out of the region. Still working on through parts of Pike, Letcher, and Harlan counties, as well as southwest Virginia. But the main show has been to the south, where the mess continues. Tornado watch is up for the Atlanta area, and that's where the severe weather threat looks to stay. For us, though, showers continue, working on to the end of the road there, though, with lows getting down into those low to mid-50s. I'll have the latest on when more showers work in coming up in just a bit. Steve?
Evan, thank you. In the state's largest city, Louisville, COVID cases have more than tripled in the last week. Meanwhile, some universities across the country are delaying their spring semester because of this surge. The surge is impacting many communities in concerning ways. In Cincinnati, a state of emergency was issued over shortages within the fire department. Some firefighters out with COVID was a factor.
I declared the emergency, in part to let everyone know, once again, that this is a serious crisis and that people should monitor their own personal health risks.
A spokesperson for the University of Kentucky says they still plan to start on January 10th, but can pivot if necessary. Governor Andy Beshear says the positivity rate continues to increase and believes it is now clear that Kentucky is in a surge from the Omicron variant. Today's positivity rate reached a new record for the year. The state reported 5,530 new cases today, bringing our case total to 856,145. We had 21 new deaths as well, putting the death toll at 12,118. The positivity rate is now at 14.46%. There are also now more than 2.5 million Kentuckians vaccinated. You can always find the latest COVID information on our website at WYMT.com. As COVID-19 cases continue to climb across the country, new CDC guidance calls for people who are COVID positive to stay home for 5 days, regardless of vaccination status. They should then continue to wear a mask for another 5 days. A negative test is no longer recommended to end quarantine or isolation if a person is asymptomatic and does not have a fever. Washington News Bureau's David Aid speaks one-on-one with Dr. Anthony Fauci about what we are seeing with the Omicron variant and what the future of COVID might be.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says he sees a significant surge in new COVID cases in the next few weeks.
The somewhat encouraging news is that it appears, certainly from the South African experience and the UK experience, but we're starting to see inklings of that here in the United States, that it looks like it might be less severe.
Fauci believes we'll get to a point where COVID can be controlled, like a significant cold instead of something that's life-threatening.
I don't think we're going to eradicate COVID. We may not even eliminate it. I think that would be aspirational.
For now, Fauci says testing still plays a key role in trying to limit the spread, and so does knowing which test to take.
If I feel like I'm ill and I may have been exposed, I would want to get a PCR test. If I want to do surveillance, like I'm going to a dinner and I'm vaccinated and I want to make doubly certain that I'm not asymptomatically bringing infection into someone's home, then that's where you have an antigen test is of value.
As for big New Year's Eve parties with strangers, Fauci recommends to skip them. In Washington, I'm David Aid.
Johns Hopkins University reports that new cases per day have more than doubled during the past 2 weeks, eclipsing the old mark of 250,000 set in mid-January. Soon enough, ATV enthusiasts in Perry County will not have to travel too far to have some fun. The Perry County Fiscal Court is planning to build an ATV trailhead and RV campground along Kentucky Highway 476 in the Rowdy community. Perry County Judge Executive Scott Alexander says this project will not only benefit the local economy, but it will also give those who live in the area something new and exciting to do without having to leave the area.
We got to have opportunities for people outside to come in and have fun here and do things here. But it's also a quality of life issue for families here who maybe don't want to travel and go a long ways to actually go down and camp at one of our campgrounds and have a nice weekend of riding their side by side. So it's a huge piece of the puzzle for the growth that we're looking to do here.
The trailhead will be connected to trails in Breathitt and Knott counties, which is part of a larger operation aiming to connect trails from one end of the Commonwealth to the other. Pike County libraries are preparing to host adulting classes with teens and young adults in mind. When teen librarian Melissa Hill began planning crafts, video game competitions, and other activities for the library's teen group, she noticed some were lacking in basic adulting skills. Hill then decided to begin classes to teach the basics of adulting, like budgeting, household repairs, and simple automotive maintenance.
It'll show them, that this is how much money you have and this is all the things you need to do with it, and now figure out how you're gonna make it work. And then it's gonna be a reality check to some, because it's gonna be like, well, I have more bills than I have money. Well, that's for a lot of us.
Hill says the first Adulting 101 class is January 12th from 4 until 5:30 p.m. and you can find out more by visiting the Pike County Library's Facebook page. Well, not everyone can say they got to be on the Ellen DeGeneres show, but Reed Elliott from Corbin can say he did it when he was 11 years old. Reed was beyond excited when his mom got the call that producers from the Ellen show wanted them to fly to LA and be on the show. He says they talked about how he has had cancer twice, loves Loretta Lynn, is a presidential expert, and he claims he's really 81 years old because he has an old soul.
I always say I was born April 19th, 1940, and I really just love the 40s and 50s. I don't know why. It just seems more happier. So really the old times, I think, are the better times to me.
He's something else. Reed and his parents got to watch his debut on the show with 75 of their friends and family members at the Corbin Theater on Monday. The UK football team is squeezing in a little fun while down in Orlando, just days away from a Citrus Bowl matchup with Iowa. Brian Milam has our Big Blue coverage.
It's not just about football for the Wildcats as they get ready for the Citrus Bowl. It's also about having some fun and exploring the Orlando area. On Wednesday night, it's Top Golf. Earlier, Abule Abadi Fitzgerald threw down the trash-talking gauntlet about certain players being the better golfers.
Probably the specialists, They do less work, so they got more time to golf,
Well, then it was time for Abule to answer the bell.
A lot of pressure. I feel like I'm at the Masters right now, all right? Like a lot of pressure. This is just like making a game-winning field goal or something, but a lot more pressure.
We also asked a couple of the players who they thought were the best and the worst golfers on the team.
I'd say John Young is probably our best. Jack Varga, Leeper, and Ben and I are all pretty close, so I'd have to put us all in 2 and 3.
Top 3, Colin Goodfellow, Jack Varga, and John Young. The worst? We'll go with the Abule. We'll put Abule in that category.
Who's got the worst swing of all of you guys?
I don't know who got the worst, but I know I got the best, so that's all that matters.
A lot of smiles, a lot of laughter, just a lot of fun had by everybody here at Top Golf. And thankfully, these guys play football a lot better than they hit a golf ball. In Orlando, Brian Milam, WYMT Mountain Sports.
I don't know where that went.
Looks like they're having a great time down there, and the weather looks perfect too. The Citrus Bowl will kick off at 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon on ABC, and we'll also have a preview special Saturday morning at 11:30 right here on WYMT. Coming up at 11, will those high costs that we are experiencing for just about everything continue into the new year?
And we don't normally think about mild weather this time of year, unless, of course, you're down at the Citrus Bowl. But it could lead to thunderstorms to start 2022. I'll have the very latest on the way.